Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? Here we go, yo. Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario?
Hello and welcome back to Kicking It with K.Clo, and today we're kicking it with the one and the only, the 2 chains of meteorology, 2 clicks himself, Mr. Brian Monahan.
No, that's because the world can't handle 2 of me. And what number 2? 2 clicks? Why we say that? It's real simple, because when we do the weather, what do I got? I got a clicker in my head.
And he has 2 clickers. And I want to thank you for coming because I know you're very busy, so I really, really appreciate it.
You know, I said this before we started this interview. It's a little weird for me to give up the control here. You know what? I got here, I say, Courtney, what can I do? How can I help? No, you just sit, you just relax.
Mm-hmm.
I got this, and you got this pad of paper there and this notepad there. I'm a little nervous about what you're gonna be asking about here.
No, don't be nervous. We're gonna give the people what they want to know.
All right.
Okay, so let's just jump right into it. So can you tell me a little bit about your journey into meteorology?
All right, well, you know what? It's funny. I get a chance to talk to a lot of schools, high schools. I actually just did Douglas County High School a little bit earlier this week. Mm-hmm. So I get a chance to talk to schools a lot. And a question that comes up is, well, how did you get involved in this?
Right.
And the answer is real simple. I'm really loud. I was really loud when I was a kid. I talked too much when I was a kid. It got me in a lot of trouble.
Right.
I was interested in weather and I wanted to be on TV.
Right.
So it all just kind of went together. And kind of the funny part of the story, I say, I'm really into sports, love sports. But you know what? I stopped growing about 6th grade. So I was the biggest kid in class until about 6th grade. I knew by that point I was not going to be a football player. I was not going to play in the NFL, not going to play in college. So you know what? I'm going to be on TV and I'm going to talk about the weather. And I'm going to be 2 clicks.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny that you said that you stopped growing in 6th grade, because so did I. Like elementary school, I was like the tallest person. Summer came, we came back to school, and I'm like, wait, what happened to everyone?
You're looking up and everybody got a lot bigger than me. How'd that happen?
So I know that with meteorology, some people aren't sure what they should major in or what they should specialize in. So can you give a little bit of insight about that?
Let me hit this from a couple of different ways, because again, I'm coming off of this school visit, and that was one of the questions that came up as well. It's, did you study TV? Did you study journalism? Answer's no. Mm-hmm. I studied science, I studied meteorology, I was interested in that. I wanted to learn more about the weather, tornadoes, hurricanes, thunderstorms, snowstorms, things like that. Not that we get many snowstorms here in Georgia, but it's something I was certainly interested in. And the TV thing just kind of came along. While I was in college, I had the opportunity to intern at a TV station, and I say the TV station was stupid enough to do this and dumb enough to do this, put a 21-year-old kid on TV. So they said, hey, we think you're good enough to fill in. We think you're good enough to fill in when other meteorologists aren't here, even though I was not yet a meteorologist because I hadn't graduated yet. We'll pay you, I think it was like $8 an hour.
Yeah.
And I said, sure, sign me up, happy to do it. And somehow that's kind of how I fell into TV, and here I am 15 years later in Atlanta.
Wow.
With you.
Right, with me. So you said you got your first start, you were 21 years old.
Right.
Did you think it would be that easy, or were you preparing for a harder journey?
You know what? I actually took that job thinking, so in TV, right? TV oftentimes, for those of us on TV, we start in really small, really tiny markets, kind of in the middle of nowhere, right? And I said, you know what? I don't want to do that. I'm from a big city. I'm from the Philadelphia area. Mm-hmm. I went to Penn State, which is a big college, big university. I'm used to a lot of things going on around me.
Right.
I don't want to live in a city where there's nothing to do. So I said, you know what? When I was in college, I said, I'm going to take a little bit of a sacrifice early on. And I gave up some weekends when I was in college to be doing this filling in thing, so that I didn't have to go live in, no offense to people from Montana, I didn't have to go live in Montana, or I didn't have to go live in Idaho where there was nothing going on. Beautiful states, but there's nothing going on.
Right.
And it just so happened, just because of that experience, when I graduated with my master's degree from Penn State, I was able to say, hey, I already have this TV experience that puts me ahead of people my age that don't have TV experience. I'd like a better job. And I ended up going from Penn State to, I wanted to live in Florida, and I ended up living in Florida, in Fort Myers, Florida, on the West Coast for 5 years. So it was not a bad place to go from college to living on the beach for 5 years.
Wow. Yeah, I feel you. Your schedule. It could be extremely crazy, and I know you do the weekends for sure, like that is your set schedule, but through the week you're also in and out and different things like that. You're taking over for other people, and sometimes you even sleep at the station.
That's true.
So how do you stay motivated and keep going when you just feel like you're really burning out?
You know what? Vacation every once in a while is a good thing. Vacation every once in a while is a good thing. But no, seriously, in the end, can the schedule be tough? I mean, anybody who works in TV or any kind of shift work really will tell you the schedule can be kind of tough. You lose how much you're able to sleep. You lose a regular schedule. Your friends, your family, boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, etc. Are all on different schedules. What helps a lot is I like what I do. There are days, certainly, would I rather be doing something else? Absolutely. Anybody who loves what they do will tell you they need a break every once in a while. But liking what I do goes a long way to kind of evening out those rough, long hours where, like you said, there are some weekends where I'm sitting there the entire weekend. So it kind of takes a little toll on your social life that way, but liking what I do certainly helps.
Yeah, so I know you said you like what you do, and I know that for sure because you went to Hurricane Harvey.
That's right.
Instead of leaving from Hurricane Harvey. And I know that was maybe one of the craziest experiences for you and whatnot. And I know you helped a lot of people. How did that affect you? And give us a little bit of insight of how that was.
It's actually, people ask me and have asked me, have you ever been scared in your career? Is there anything you're nervous doing? The TV part, working on camera, stuff like that, I don't think, do you get butterflies every once in a while? Absolutely. I think the last time I really remember being really nervous about being on TV was the first time when I was in Orlando, working in the Orlando market. I had a chance to fill in on Good Morning America. And I can remember sitting there going, as they're giving you 30 seconds, 15 seconds, and in your head you go, oh my gosh, I am about to be on national TV. I hope I do not completely screw this up and embarrass myself. And then it goes away really quickly. But people ask, well, are there any weather situations? Because as part of my job, I get a chance to report on the weather. Sometimes is the cold weather going to affect strawberries? We're not talking about severe weather there. But I've had a chance to go down to Hurricane Matthew in Florida and then Hurricane Harvey that you mentioned. And I think those events are a little scary. I remember getting into Harvey with my photographer, Oscar, that night. Water was just starting to rise in Houston. Here we are driving on highways in Houston, seeing the water come up around us, and we have no idea where we are. We don't know the city, and we're worried we're going to get trapped. So I think that's the first time I've been scared in my career. And then in terms of an impact, I think in the moments of Harvey where you're seeing all this horrible stuff, right? You're seeing people, unfortunately, losing their life in some cases, major damage to homes, people's lives just pretty well impacted and pretty well hurt and destroyed by a hurricane. That certainly affects you, but I think the big thing I took away from Harvey was I was surprised to see in a situation where, sure, in something like that you do have some bad things going on, but overall we saw people from all over different walks of life, different economic scales, different living situations, circumstances, different races, etc., all kind of going at it with the perspective, we're in this together, we're all stuck together, we're going to help each other out. And that was the big thing I took away from something like Hurricane Harvey, how fundamentally good people are and can be to each other to help each other out.
So, but when you hear about the bad things that happen, I know like when we're at work, we hear a lot about, shootings and killings and stuff, and it could become very sad, different things like that. So how do you keep yourself from becoming insensitive and not really, kind of like inhuman in a way? So how do you deal with that?
I think that's probably less of an issue for me. Well, actually, no, I take that back. In severe weather and things like that, well, we're up there talking about tornado warning. Actually, just about a month ago, we had a tornado come through South Fulton County and really destroy a neighborhood. Fortunately, nobody died, but really did some significant damage. And I think that kind of brings it home that what you're talking about is really affecting lives and has affected lives. But I would imagine, especially for a news anchor, right? You talked to Fred when you did this. It's got to be really hard. I can kind of isolate myself from that a little bit, but when you're the news anchor and you're talking about that every day, it's got to be a challenge to not eventually become dull to it and kind of almost immune to it in some ways. But then we get a chance to go out in the field, get a chance to meet people, and you actually get to it's one thing to talk about a story, and then you get a chance to actually be, I don't want to say part of the story, but kind of more involved and see what people are really going through. You go out and, for example, you see these neighborhoods that were hit by tornadoes or Harvey. and it puts a more human face on it. And I think it's important for those of us on camera to do that, to interact more directly with the story rather than just reporting it.
Right. Wow. I know that could be like, because I know even for me, like
Sure.
sometimes like, you know, I'm teleprompting and I'm, you know, reading through this as they're reading it, and I'm just like, this is crazy. Like,
Right.
you know, you really just can't believe the things that people do. So I know that could be just just too much.
And sometimes you leave it for the day and you need to get away from it.
Yeah, yeah.
You need a break.
Definitely need a break. So I want you to, you know, talk to the young meteorologists out there who really want to get into this field, who really want to know more about what they need to do to make sure they can ensure to get a job like you.
Right. I think the biggest thing is, and I say this for every school talk I do, you have to be willing to to get yourself to where you want to be, in my opinion, down the line. You're probably, and fast and in a fast way, or in a way that gets you quickly to where you want to be. You need to be willing to make some sacrifices. So I always talk about my example at Penn State where, you know what, my last year and a half, 2 years, I was working on the weekend, a lot of weekends, filling in for other meteorologists. Honestly, you tell me, do you think I would rather be out with my friends doing things? Probably, right?
You're right.
So I would say the biggest thing is be willing to make sacrifices to get yourself further, faster down the line in your career. But for young people, look, we got a great resource now that I had sort of when I was a kid, but more so now, the internet. You can read, have a question, look it up, you can get the answer immediately. Where you used to have to go to the library, get a book, all that kind of stuff. So I would say, get your fingertips, get your hands around as much information as you can. Not all of it's good, obviously, on the internet, but a lot of it is. And find a way to use that information to answer your questions about science, answer your questions about meteorology. We have social media now where you can reach out to people like Glenn Burns or Brad Nitz or Karen Minton, I'm going to mention them all now, Katie Walls, or myself, where previously you didn't have that resource.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. I really want to thank you for coming. I know I'm not going to let you leave yet because we're going to do a little challenge.
I heard we're going to do a little challenge.
And the funny thing is we were having a hard time figuring out this challenge.
Can I just throw something out there? You mentioned Freddie B, right?
Yes.
And we were talking about some different kinds of challenges we could do. One of them was the nasty food challenge.
Yes.
And we looked at each other and we went, we both got kind of weak stomachs in different ways.
Yeah.
And some of the things that were thrown out there, I think pickled eggs. Pig's feet. What else? Grasshoppers.
And crickets.
Sardines. No, absolutely not. But Fred wants to go, this challenge that we're going to do is kind of weak, is what Fred says. And I look at Fred and I go, you had watered down spicy ramen noodles. Isn't that what every college kid at Georgia State, Georgia Tech, Georgia, name the college, has in their dorm room?
Yeah.
So I'm just calling it out. Fred's a little weak.
Oh. I guess we're going to have them back for a real challenge. So we're going to do the saltine cracker challenge. So we got to get ready for this. We are about to do the saltine cracker challenge. So I'm gonna let Brian explain it to you guys.
Okay, so here's the deal. I've heard about this before, so I had heard about this. And then I watched the YouTube videos. I sent you one of them yesterday, right? So the deal is this apparently, and I gotta tell you something, I've only had these saltine crackers, when I can remember, I think either put them in soup, you have the picture of the box, I think they're around soup, right? Soup, or I've had them when I'm sick and I can't really eat anything else. I can remember that from when I was a kid. Other than that, my saltine experience is very small. But I guess the deal is these things are really dry. And apparently it's virtually impossible to eat 6 of these in a minute. So that's 1 every 10 seconds. And now you have to do it, I guess, without drinking any water.
So no water.
So no water. So we're gonna put this away. Okay. That's for after when we're done. You think, for some reason Courtney here thinks that it's possible that we could get through more than 6, so she said go ahead and put another couple down there. I don't think I'm gonna get to 6, but we're gonna find out.
We're gonna see.
And we're gonna keep eating until we get down to 6. So if we don't get them in the minute, we're gonna see how long it actually takes to do it. So I've got the clock, and are you ready?
I'm ready.
And then we'll go in 3, 2, 1. That hurt.
It's really dry.
Real dry. So you're going for,
Mm-hmm.
So Now remember the YouTube video, it's rude to talk with your mouth open, but I'm going to. With food in your mouth. Wow.
I mean, one second. How good. How good. It's so hard.
Okay, we're at 30 seconds. We're down to 2.
I'm on 3.
Yeah, this is not doable.
How did I do this in the video we watched?
Well, dude was doing 6 at a time.
There's no way.
This is no spicy noodle challenge. Now I don't know. Okay, here's 4.
Oh wow. 10 seconds left, so 1 minute.
It's real dry. I haven't got it all down yet. So there's a minute, I'm down 4. Keep going. We're not done.
I think I have 5.
They're real salty. Minute 15. Wow. Those are pretty bad. There's on each side of my mouth. Okay, here's my 6. But I think you have to swallow and that's be gone. Minute and a half. You get there yet?
6. Done.
6, done. 1 minute and 40 seconds.
Okay,
Okay, that's hard.
that's very hard.
Can we get our water sip now? We should do this on camera. Now, I need you to compare this to spicy noodle. Because they're different. I mean, they're different challenges.
They are different challenges. Spicy noodle. The thing that messed me up is when Fred suggested to drink the juice. The juice was hot. The noodles was actually like just floating in.
Right.
So you could, when you sucked them, you really couldn't really get it. When he said drink the juice, my lips started to burn.
Now this.
This really filled my mouth. Like it's like,
I mean, I feel like my mouth's going to be dry for the next hour.
yeah.
Well, in case you wanted to know, by the way, a serving size is actually 5 crackers. So that was only like 70 calories of crackers. So I was actually kind of curious.
Oh wow.
It wasn't much.
It wasn't much, but
So a minute. So we both finished in about a minute and 44 seconds.
minute 46.
Okay.
That's not too bad.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. So where can people find you on social media?
People can find me everywhere on social media. Let's see, Twitter, Monahan WSP. I still have food in my mouth. I apologize. I'm not going to smile because it's all over my teeth.
I just noticed probably everywhere.
Instagram is Monahan WSP. Facebook is also Monahan WSP.
Well, thank you for coming on K.Clo.
Oh no, thank you for having me.
I had such a good time, and I really hope a lot of